When I switched to pro mileage, in my case, I got 46, 47% of savings for that car.
Pro mileage was the only one that gave me 5,000 extra value to cover, yet still cheaper, a lot less, a lot less.
Okay guys, I'm in the E200 cabin. Now this is the base variant of the E-Class in Malaysia. Alright, of course in Europe you can buy a taxi basically, right? As the E-Class is the most accomplished executive sedan in its segment, and hence is the popular choice of car rental and taxi companies. You know, in Europe, taxis is not it's not mass transit. It's actually for sort of like a luxury. Anyway, let's look at the cabin. It's still the same cabin, still the beautiful cabin, but of course this is the E200. You won't see things like, you know, on the AMGs you have leather wrap dash, you know, like expensive wooden inlays and all that. This is just a brushed aluminium inlay, which is nice. It's lasting. It's a mass swath of grayness in here. All right, now these are man-made leather, I believe. It just doesn't feel like the real thing. But are the seats comfortable? All right, I can say. I mean, the base for my, you see, I'm a 5'11" adult, so you can actually extend this part. See that? So that's a good thing, you know. And just that I was hoping for it to have a little more bulge towards this part and then go in. But then again, they have to design the seats to suit adults, like males who are 5'6", 5'7", or even females who are 5'2", 5'3", you know, should be able to have a compromise. So no qualms on that. I like these wings. They are very supportive and yet doesn't intrude, even though I'm a considerably overweight adult. Alright, I am 20 kilos above my ideal BMI, and yet I fit nicely in here and provide support when I'm cornering, alright, or driving. But then nobody would drive this car and then just bring it to the mountain roads. But that doesn't mean that this car handles badly. In fact, it handles well. Now let's look at the cabin. Alright, from the inside you can see there is a continuous styling that goes, you know, this is really popular nowadays. I love how the Germans created this inlay thing. You know, you have the same material running across into the door, sometimes extending to the rear passenger. You know, it's a very nice thing that the Germans came up with, and then you can change the material according to spec. You know, you have stainless steel here. If you buy something more expensive, it may be a choice of, you know, open pore wood. But the thing is, here is open pore wood. These are real wood inlays, which feels really good. All right, the grain and all that feels good, and I think the match is all right. Now, again, we get another new steering wheel. Mercedes has a thing with their steering wheel. They design really good looking steering wheels, to be honest. Of course, this one has a massive area that is the gloss black plastic, which attracts a lot of dust. You know, it is I'm not sure if that's the best material to put on the steering. You know, the previous one with the satin chrome sides, that looked really good, and then with the haptic touch sensitive button alongside real buttons, that is to me the best. Because this one on picture, it looks really good. I mean, it makes the Mercedes logo float out, you know, the airbag housing, and then this part actually concave in. You know, it's very nice, and it's a nice steering wheel to hold. It looks expensive on video, on pictures, you know. And then the paddle shifters also look really good. They're all plastic, but they are properly, you know, chrome and cold to the touch. Very nice. Now, my qualms would be, after driving it for a while, it's actually how this thing operates. You know, there seems to be I took a long for me to get the hang of it. I kept having to, you know, like swipe, unsuccessful swipes compared to the previous little square black button where I can press or I can swipe. That is more responsive or more sensitive in terms of judging what I want to do with the screen. Largely the screen doesn't really change much, you know. You still can do some weird selections whereby all three sides are fuel consumption. But that's the flexibility that the Mercedes-Benz gives. But of course your traditional dials is still there, you know, your speedo counter and all that. So what you do is that this controls this screen and this controls this screen. So when you swipe, you will see them highlight. You see now both these rims are like light up. It means your selection is in the middle, right? As you swipe your finger, the middle one will respond. If I move to the right, see, then it will come to this one, and then when I swipe, it will change this one. And if I go twice, it will highlight this one, and then it will move that one. All right, so that's sort of how it works. All right, there's a plethora of options in there. See this giant thing? It's actually a clock. It's like you know, Mercedes just, it's like, yeah, allow them, you know, why not, you know. So the speedo is here, and then see, sometimes I miss it, and I need multiple tries sometimes. All right, it's not as good as the previous one. Even the volume is, you know, using this slider. So this type of touch sensitive steering wheel is getting more and more prominent across cars from Europe, so no choice about that. Here you find the light housing, very familiar. Anyone familiar with European cars, you know, it's there, you know, between automatic, daytime or fog lamp or whatnot, everything is here. This one adjusts the luminosity of this, the brightness of these two screens. Okay, so you have a door lock and unlock button hidden over here. I would prefer these, like door lock and unlock, to be in the middle. You have some empty spots here, right? Why can't this be the door and unlock, lock and unlock button, so you don't need another set over there? Which on this base E-Class, obviously on the door handle there, you won't have this lock and unlock. All right, aircon vents, you have 4 over here. They're plastic, gloss black plastic, but there's a satisfying click to it. See? Somehow this one clicks more than this one. Anyway, the screen. Now Mercedes pioneered this 2 screens into one kind of arrangement, so they don't have a cutout over here, just one hood to, you know, it makes it look really impressive. And in fact, if you're from the vantage point of the driver, it looks as though you're looking at one giant screen, where in fact it's actually 2 separate screens hidden inside this panel. A good execution, and when we see this, gonna be copied. All right, now one thing about Mercedes-Benz is always the ambient lighting, right? Of course now it's daytime, you won't be able to see it. The ambient lighting runs all the way here. There's a lot of colors to choose. You can even let it, you know, automatically change colors and all that. All right, inside here, nothing much. Remember Mercedes used to have that fragrance thingy in there. I'm surprised this part isn't covered in felt. You know, inside is covered in felt, but not here. How much can you save? You know, it feel a lot better if it is covered in felt. You know, rather basic over here, but it's all right. It's a good size. This is a great compartment. You see, Mercedes, they have this. To be honest, the first time you look at it, you would be like, am I driving a bus? You know, you press for P, and then you push it up for reverse, push it down for drive, and it doesn't look like something you are used to. But I tell you, you only need like 10 minutes with it, and you'll love it. You know, it's just so easy when you are like, especially when you're doing a 3-point turn, right? Push it down, drive, push it up, and then reverse, and this frees up this space. So once you free up for the gear lever, you can have a compartment. In fact, I would suggest Mercedes to even not have this. I know this is I always say that every car needs a visual magnet when you go into the car. Mercedes used to have a really nice one where you can rest your palm, and then you have the click wheel down there. That's really good. Somehow they decided to change it to this Lexus sort of haptic feedback, touch sensitive sliding thingy. Alright, so when you move your finger, it highlights your selection. I tell you, using this to operate that, you gotta pull your hair out. You know, it's just like how people used to say about Lexus and 10 years ago. Lexus is still doing it, and Mercedes somehow decided to do it. This is not the best way to operate these things, but the good thing is that it's a large touchscreen, okay? So it makes it no reason to use this. Moreover, all the shortcut buttons of these are here. Alright, so Mercedes could have easily just integrated these over there and then you free up even more things. But however, they need something. They need a visual magnet, you know. Your steering wheel, your gear lever, and your infotainment controls has always been the visual magnet in a car. So, but changing to this, I'm not too sure about that. And Mercedes has always not, they, you know, see this layout, dynamic on the left, volume on the right, right? But as the driver, I have volume over here. Why? Because this panel was designed for left-hand drive markets, where the steering is there, the passenger is here, so the passenger can control the volume, whereas the driver controls the drive dynamics of the car, you know. But this one is alright because this is a lot lower. The previous one is raised up high, so from the driver's viewpoint, we always couldn't see this row. It's always blocked visually by that when you change left to right-hand drive. This one, less of a concern because they're just so near, and this thing no longer blocks this out of the view of the driver. Alright, so that's just explaining it. Alright, this compartment is good. It's a base E-Class, so you don't get like wireless charging and all that. It's just a compartment, but it's deep enough. The cup holders, I would have preferred if the cup holder is not like a static one-piece plastic, can be removed. Yes, I would prefer something simpler, you know, something simpler that holds my drink and that's about it, and have it as a good compartment that I can use it to put a lot of stuff. Nevertheless, that's a small complaint. It's good that Mercedes designed it to be removable. Okay, here you have your 12-volt socket, you have one USB-C charging port, and that's about it. Alright, here, remember those days where they put a lock for you to lock this? I'm not sure if there are some high-tech settings in there that can lock this. Let me know if you know, if you're a Mercedes owner. I don't think this part is connected to the infotainment system. Alright, but there's one more USB-C port here, and that's about it. Alright, the whole thing no longer feels as substantial as they used to be. Maybe it's the leather used in this car. It just, back then, Mercedes in-car stuff used to feel a lot more substantial. This is still the same thing all the way from the C-Class to here, W205, back in 2014, 15, yeah. Still this glossy plastic that feels rather brittle, and this is very small. This is used in the C-Class as well. So I always say that ladies who bought a C-Class, they have their Gucci aviators and all that, right? Or their Gentle Monster big glasses, they won't be able to fit here. Alright, this is a case of they just, you know, continue using what they have done and not updating it, you know, to make it bigger and all that. No concerns with build quality, but in terms of touching it, it feels like one solid, semi-hard piece of plastic. You know, it just doesn't have that quality feel. If this is like finished in the usual soft, you know, furry kind of finish, it will feel a lot better. But then again, this is, again, like I said, this you're looking at a base E-Class here. All right, this is the base E-Class. You can adjust the seatbelt heights and all that. Yeah, that's the front compartment of the car. Let's go to the back. And of course, you don't get any Burmester or whatever Harman Kardon bows, you know. But I kind of felt that, hey, Mercedes, really just one piece of black plastic here, you know. They could have Yeah, I know this is not the Burmester with the beautiful B word here. You could have put a little TriStar logo just to garnish up this thing to make it to make the rest of your effort worthwhile. You know, this little black circular plastic here really does make the cabin look a bit cheaper than it should have been. Okay, the door bins are alright, not full length, not super deep, but at least they open up this place. You could have put a big bottle, if your big bottle fits here. They could have just molded it to have a little bit of a shape to put big bottles, but then they have this set. Oh, alright, do we need this? Something that just slots here to put your bottle. I don't know, man, this gives me a very, sorry to say, but it doesn't feel luxurious to see this in this, you know. It looks like an afterthought. This opens the boot. Okay, let's go to the rear seats. Okay, you sit considerably higher than the front seats, you know. This where the front passenger shoulder is more like on my rib, so I'm at least like 4 inches higher, 4 or 5 inches higher. Now the seats, I'm in a sitting position that makes driving comfortable, okay, but at the rear I can't slot my feet under the seats. Okay, that's a drawback. Okay, and this is just about enough, the base of the rear seats to the starting of the rail over there. This is my feet is a size 11.5 feet. All right, and these are just exposed metal rails. There's no proper plastic cover, you know. I mean, in a luxury car you should have a little bit of that. And this little ET has been around for a while. Rather small aircon vents. There's no dual zone, nothing. You can't control anything except closing it off, opening up. There's a compartment here with 2 more USB-C ports here and a 12-volt socket, acceptable. And that's about it. Towards at the back seats, you know, you get blinds, a one-piece blind that covers both sides. In terms of material, it's acceptable, but I can tell you the Japanese or even Koreans have surpassed this level of finish in terms of material used. You know, I don't mean Korean luxury cars, I mean Korean regular cars, Kia, Hyundai, and the likes. Okay, this one is alright, carpeted in here, pop-out cup holders. Alright, so this is a bit too extensively engineered, I believe. Why? I don't get it. It's gonna break. Of course, to a certain level, this shows, you know, oh, I'm a luxury car, but I mean, it's spring-loaded, so it grips the drink instead of just letting it sit there. So that's a good point. But okay, you get some ISOFIX point. Interesting. Mercedes used to be the one that does pop, like push in ISOFIX covers, so you won't lose them. And now they use the Audi way, where you have to take these out and then you might lose them. Alright, the ISOFIX mounting points at the back. In terms of headroom, I have like 1 finger left. I am 5'11". The little headrest over here, alright, it's okay, fits me well. And a lot of knee room. And in terms of the seat base, there's quite a bit, like 4 fingers here, mainly because no, I just can't slot my feet underneath. So the seat base isn't as long or deep as the one in the 5 Series. Okay, so if I were to compare this with the 5 Series, I have a lot to say. Oh, before that, one thing, I think I'm the only motoring journalist that points this out from the right-hand drive market. There's no footrest. There's a little bulge here, but in no way it is sufficient for the feet. You see, it's just about 2 inches wide, so your feet kind of, you don't have a proper panel to rest your feet. So when you're doing long drives, you know, you tend to be like using just your toes to hold yourself there if you're driving enthusiastically. Okay, let's switch off the car and walk around. Alright, let's look at the boot. The boot would be the strong point. Now in the pre-facelift, the boot actually goes down a little bit lower. This one, there's a considerable load lid. Okay, nothing much. That's the basket that is genius in a way. Actually folds out so you can put your groceries and all that. Comes with every Mercedes. Very good. You don't have spare wheels, so there's a deep well underneath. This panel feels could have been a little bit thicker, I would say. Alright, there are some nets over here, nothing much. Swan neck operated, so that means there's no powered tailgate. Okay, this one you can hang stuffs, this one you can pull and drop the seats, and that's about it. You have to close the boot yourself, but because it's a swan neck with a spring that counterweights this, closing or opening it doesn't take any energy at all. So in that sense, you don't need. Now the styling, they have completely changed the front and rear styling of this car, and in a way it makes it younger, but it also makes it more ubiquitous. It sort of looks like any other car out there now, you know. It lost that distinctive Mercedes look, right? The headlamps sort of squished in, pointier nose, smaller. It doesn't carry that E-Class stature. In fact, it looks more like a larger C-Class now. Alright, it just, yeah, it has the C-Class vibe. Just now there were so many who thought this is a C-Class, you know, but in fact it's an E-Class. Comes with 18-inch wheels, and really now it just looks like those Korean or, you know, quattroporte. Most cars are like that, just a horizontal tail lamp, or Honda Accord, you know, they all look like that. Kind of appreciate this finishing, pretty nice, the way it blends in. I see that in the GLC, I love it a lot. So yeah, that's the E-Class. Alright, it's been out a few years now. Okay, so it's due for a facelift, but I guess we're all hoping for a bigger facelift change and hoping for another level up. But then it became more younger, sportier, and in that it makes the car looks, it lost the character design of the E-Class. It's not a bad looker, it's in no way a bad looker, because when you go for this type of design, right, you can never look bad because you don't stand out in any way. And I have no idea how they came up with this grille. I just don't think it's good looking. 2 chrome strips and then some horizontal ones, vertical ones, and then with this little inside, it just looks, it looks industrial in a way. Alright, so let's get back in. So verdict, how's the drive? Now the car doesn't drive bad. It's a Mercedes, it's a rear-wheel drive car. The chassis is alright. It's in no way bad, you know. You can throw it into a corner, it won't push the front out like an Audi does. Alright, but yes, it has a 2-liter engine, 197 horsepower, 320 Newton meters of torque, rear-wheel drive, 9-speed transmission. Everything sounds okay. I mean, it doesn't do any weird jerking, it doesn't offend me in any way when I drive. But in terms of the ride quality, I was hoping like maybe they can improve it in the facelift, which actually they didn't put much effort, I would say, into it. It still just drives like the previous one. Sometimes it gets a little bit busy. The thing is this, it's quiet enough. it is comfortable enough, it is athletic enough, but that's just about it. So in a way, if you think about it, if you are someone who is already driving a luxury car, be it a 3 Series or a Volvo S60 or an Audi A4, you come into this car, you wouldn't be impressed by it in terms of how it drives, right? But when you look at the design of the cabin versus the 5 Series, is multiple magnitudes prettier, be it from picture or from, you know, just sitting in it, just looking at the cabin. It's just so much more inviting and beautiful and different from regular cars. That's where Mercedes wins always. People sit in before they drive, they want to buy it straight up. They can forgive it for how it drives. I mean, it's not a bad driver. It's not. It's in no way a bad driver. It's just that for me, for Mercedes, the brand, you know, in terms of the drive, it loses out to the 5 Series in comfort. It loses out to the 5 Series in quietness. It loses out to the 5 Series in wind noise, soundproofing, smooth drivetrain, you know, engine sound, engine noise, everything, every measurable thing, it loses out to the 5 Series, all right? But these things, the emotional part, it wins, right? You just come in here and then you feel like, oh my God, I just love it. Yeah, that's the thing they win. You know, it doesn't even come with a sunroof. It doesn't come with a lot of specifications. But again, I have to say this. This is a base model. It's not for someone who come from a 5 Series or whatever. It's for who, you know? I would hazard a guess, even though I don't have data, there are a lot of people who buys the E-Class as their first Mercedes-Benz and also as their testament of the hard work they put in their life. The Mercedes-Benz E-Class means something. The brand Mercedes means something. It, like it or not, it is the brand that people associate with when you sort of manage to make it in life and you get yourself a Mercedes. So a lot of people work hard all their lives, and by the time when they are in their 50s, they want to reward themselves, and this is a perfectly great car to buy. E200, a base E-Class. You don't want to spend too much money, and you come in here, you get the things that you need. You are in your lifelong dream of owning a Mercedes-Benz, and this is for you. Not everybody is lucky enough to achieve this, or buying a car at about 300 over 1,000 in their 30s or even in their 20s. But when you are in your 40s and 50s, right, you don't go for a C-Class. It's smaller than your, it's tighter inside than your Accord, you know, it's smaller than your Civic in a way, sometimes leg room and all that. So you go for an E-Class. So you have to understand what Mercedes understands, the E200, you know. It's, in a way, it's more for first-time Mercedes buyers than a C250, if you think about it. All right, so for those, perfectly all right. I mean, they don't go mountain road driving. They don't go E-Class club and go and hang out with people who drives the same cars, you know. No, these are people who are reaching that kind of age. They want something like that. They haven't reached a stage whereby they can buy an S-Class and hire a driver and pay the driver 3,000, 4,000 per month to help them drive the car, right? So yeah, this is what the E-Class is, the E200. All right, so yes, BMW, even though you beat this car in every measurable way, you're not Mercedes. The Mercedes brand, right, I have to say, is the world's most successful brand that no branding guru or whatever can put their pen down in describing this weird phenomenon. But Mercedes-Benz, they can sell you a 10 million hypercar and also a van for commercial use, holding the same logo, the same brand, and you as a consumer wouldn't feel a thing. That's how good, that's how wide a breadth the Mercedes-Benz brand is. And a month ago, they changed their company name from Daimler AG to Mercedes-Benz. So that effectively erased the history of Daimler Motorengesellschaft, which was founded by Gottlieb Daimler and Wilhelm Maybach, which that part of the history, that is the actual company that bought over Carl Benz's company, right? Benz and C. And but that company was created much later than Carl Benz's company. So by eliminating that history, the Daimler part, and just completely go with Mercedes-Benz, they legitimize themselves with their 1886 first car manufacturer claim. Clever move. Alright, so yeah, that's my review of the E-Class E200. If you're interested in a lot of topics that I mentioned, all this, right, it's all in my channel, you know, about, you know, Emil Jelinek, you know, Mercedes Jelinek, you know, Carl Benz, and how they were rivals of Daimler, and then Daimler and them, you know, merge all this, and Daimler and Maybach used to work for the technical founder of BMW, which is, you know, Otto, I forgot his name. Yeah. Anyway, see ya. Cheers. Word is the name, they wanted the chain. Turn on photo watching, he plain Jane.